I have a final thought for your Friday. Hope you're doing well. I want to look this morning briefly at a subject that we're well known of, and that's obedience to God. And I want to look at obedience, but obedience when it's hard. You see this ditch behind me back here? It's crooked. It's not straight. We know most rivers and creeks and ditches are crooked because the water follows the path of least resistance. It doesn't follow hard ground, it follows easy ground. But we know when we look at our obedience oftentimes is hard. And this morning I want to look at one aspect of obedience when it's hard, and that is the excuse or the thought that I'm simply just not in the mood. You know, it's easy to get in that mindset on a Friday. We know the weekend's coming up. We know that Saturday is a time for people to catch up on yard work, laundry, or house cleaning. And it's easy to say, I'm not in the mood to do that. And it's not dangerous to think that way, but when it is dangerous to think that way of when we're not in the mood is when we think of obedience to God. How can we be obedient to God and not be in the mood? I want to give you two examples. First example, imagine someone coming to you, not knowing what they need to do to be saved, but asking, wanting to have a Bible study with you to learn the ways of salvation. And you're simply not in the mood. That's not dangerous just for you. It's dangerous for them. See, first, you're being disobedient by not spreading the word of God. And two, it's dangerous for them because they're leaving you now because you were not in the mood to help them to go find someone else and still living a life of sin. Point number two, imagine a brother or sister comes to you and needing prayers for uplifting. They're maybe going through troublesome times. They may have some sin in their life and they need help. But you're simply not in the mood and you sort of push them on their way. Now they have to go find someone else, another brother and sister that's in the mood to help them. See, it's dangerous for you and for them because, again, you're not obeying God. And number two, they're having to go find someone else and still maybe living in sin that they wanted to talk to someone about. Let's look at some verses this morning. Let's look at 2 Timothy. Look at 2 Timothy chapter 4 and verse 2. It says, preach the word, be ready in season and out of season, convince, rebuke, exhort with all long-suffering and teaching. You see, when those two people in those examples came to you and you were not in the mood, you didn't follow this verse. You was not obedient to God. It says, preach the word, be ready in season, out of season. You never know when someone will come to you wanting to know the truth. Let's look at another verse. John chapter 14 and verse 15. Jesus says, if you love me, you will keep my commandments. If we're not spreading the word, if we're not talking to others about Christ and helping those that come in contact to us because we're not in the mood, we're not being obedient to Jesus. Jesus says, if you love me, you will keep my commandments, and we're commanded to spread the word to help others. I hope this Final Thought Friday has maybe helped you out. Maybe you have fallen in the mood some of, I'm not in the mood to be obedient. Maybe you have pushed things aside in your work for God. And I hope that you find this video helpful, your Final Thought Friday helpful. And I hope that it can help you along your way as you go into your weekend to encourage you more to be obedient to God.